We purchased the cheapest property we could find, and we're transforming it into something completely new. In the last 2 videos, you watched us battle with the foundation. And after a few setbacks and some creative problem solving, we poured a new footing and are finally ready to start building up. In this episode, we're tackling the framing head on, starting with this wall right here. Ready, set, frame. I don't think it gets much better than that.
Can I reach over here?
You should be able to. Can you?
Yeah, right there.
39 foot 10 1/4. So we're an inch short. There are a lot of ways to square something up. One of the most common ones is using the 3, 4, 5 triangle, where you'd set up 2 strings, 3 feet down one side, 4 feet off the other, and then 5 feet across. And this morning I realized I could just draw what we have in the computer and what we want in the computer, and then I could just look and it'll tell me how far to move my string from where we are. Over in this corner, I actually want my sill plate to stick out by 1 1/3 inches. This goes against the advice I've heard from every single builder YouTube channel, but new plan, we're building a crooked house. I didn't build this foundation, I didn't build it crooked, but now it's our job to figure out how to make our crooked foundation work for us. So I think that it's gonna be better to have an intentionally crooked house rather than a straight house, because the straight house sitting on this foundation would look crooked. Now we're gonna find out if it's even level. Oh, we should clean this thing. 3'4". Good start. We're a little bit high here, 1/4 inch high here, dead on here. Woo! Next job, before we can lay sill plates down across this foundation, I need to grind all the concrete little bits and doodads and make sure everything's nice and flat. Should I do it like the guy that filled them and just walk along the top? Oh my gosh, how did he do this? I'm on my hands and knees and I don't even like it, and he was just walking carrying a concrete hose. And the future has come. That's one miserable job done. Ah, fresh like I just had a shower. I couldn't allow myself to build an intentionally crooked house, so I'm gonna intentionally make it slightly less crooked, and I'm just gonna take half of it out of this side at least, so we're only 1/2 inch narrower on the front than the back. Okay, I'm pulling it tight. Okay, 16. I don't think I'm talented enough yet to carry 2 boards like that and set them on. Lined up on our mark. Courtney, when did we learn how to do this?
This morning.
This morning.
On YouTube.
It's where we learn everything. What was his name? I liked his video. It was like something the Woodbanger. He taught us in an hour how to build an entire house. Okay, I'm gonna flip this down from our line to the middle of the bolt. 2 13/16. Boom, that's where our hole should go. And because I placed these J-bolts, they're all different. So 1 13/16. I'm using a 1/2 inch drill bit for 1/2 inch bolts, so like, we gotta be pretty darn right. Man, those drill bits work well though. I don't know, it's the ones with the little curly whirly on the end. They're 4 drilling studs. So this is called the sill plate, sometimes called the mud board. This is a pressure treated piece of wood, so it's rot resistant. Basically, this is the piece of our foundation that attaches all the wood framing to the concrete and supports our floor joists. I think I just need to get a hammer and tap this one over.
Hold on, we gotta put our foam down.
Oh yeah, thank you, the foam.
This is gonna isolate our wood from our concrete so that if somehow there was moisture in the concrete, it's not gonna wick up into the wood.
Our sill plate's gonna go on. Right on the chalk line, Courtney. I have been thinking about this step going, how are we ever going to line up those J-bolts with those holes? I even brought like a way bigger drill bit because I assumed that with this 1/2 inch bit, there was no way I was ever getting 1/2 inch J-bolts to line up. And that little trick that we watched this morning of just holding it up here, lining it up and making marks, I was turning an elephant into an anthill. How's that saying work? A mole into an anthill? A molehill? You get the point. We are building a house. And the maps are still slated.
Whoa! What are the odds that I'm able to get any of these started?
Probably pretty low. I was kind of worried about that. It all mangled from a hammer. Yeah. When I hammer these J-bolts in, I kind of mangled the top of the threads with the hammer. I probably should have run nuts down on them, hammered them in. Then I could have pulled the nuts back off, which would have cleaned up the threads. But hindsight's 20/20, so we're using a grinder. There we go.
Nice.
Cool. On concrete pour day, when I laid out the J-bolts, I didn't have the mental capacity to be able to figure out where all of our sill plates were going to start and stop to put 2 J-bolts. So I just did my best and knew that I'd have to come back later with some wedge anchors. And so this is one of those situations where I have a J-bolt here, but we're going to have a seam here. I'm going to need to add another J-bolt here. Sweet. Cordy, I definitely worked this up in my mind as being way more of a big deal than it actually is.
Okay.
So here's the end of the block. It's split right here though, and so we're still within a foot, so I'm gonna go here. The mobile home that we tore off of here was literally, I literally mean literally, it was just sitting here. It was just set down. It wasn't anchored to this foundation at all in any way. And it held up for 50 years. But that doesn't mean that we should repeat what they did. These are wedge anchors that we're gonna be setting into the concrete to create our extra hold downs. Now I'm gonna mark on my drill bit how deep I need to go. Now, I'm gonna hammer the anchor in. Now we tighten our wedge anchor. Look, it's sucking it flat. One down, only 3 to go. Nice. You guys have had a lot of questions in the comments and we haven't been very good at answering them, so let's answer a few. When we realized the mobile home was gonna be a teardown and Chris needed a place to live, he moved into this travel trailer. But it was the middle of summer and it was hot. The trailer's AC couldn't keep up in the 100-degree heat, and with this 300-foot extension cord, we kept tripping a 20-amp breaker. Luckily, thanks to the sponsor of this video, Mr. Cool, we had a solution. Installing everything inside of Chris's trailer took less than an hour, and then because the line sets were still fully charged, all I had to do was hook everything back up again. Then we wired the power up to the breaker panel inside the trailer, and we were back up and running. Oh, and we also made this creative stand using scrap lumber from around the job site. The trailer's original roof-mounted AC unit literally sounds like a jet engine ready to take off, and it never turns off. This one sounds like an airplane taking off. Other than the cool air coming out, I can't even tell that this one's on. Like the original one on the roof and this one are both rated for 12,000 BTU, but this one's able to actually keep the trailer cool and the other one couldn't. The Wi-Fi enabled smart features allow Chris to monitor the temperatures inside the trailer remotely and mean that his dog Zoe stays comfortable even when Chris is away in town. And the heat pump technology means that Chris also has a way to efficiently heat his trailer even as the nights start getting cool this fall. The variable speed DC inverter compressor means that Chris is using way less electricity to heat and cool his trailer, leading to a much cheaper power bill, and he's not tripping the breaker anymore. They're so quiet, I can literally talk right next to it while it's on. Mr. Cool has been a long-time supporter of this channel, and now on our 8th installation, I can honestly say that these products are life-changing. They allow you, the homeowner, to do the complete install over a weekend without any special tools or knowledge, and they immediately transform your space to be quietly and efficiently climate-controlled. We have so many friends and family members who have installed the Mr. Cool products after hearing about them from us, and they always have the same feedback. Wow, that was easy, and I should have done that a long time ago. We'll be installing a Mr. Cool system in this house build and probably the next camper build or maybe a boat. To learn more about the complete lineup of Mr. Cool products, head to the link in the description below. Now let's get back to the build. Now that all the sill plates are bolted down, it's time to see how flat everything is. The flatter our sill plates are, the flatter our floor is going to be, and the flatter our whole house is going to be. So this step is super critical, but it's also really tempting to just rush right through it. We've got a string pulled now that is sitting on top of this block that we know is 3/4 of an inch high. Now we can go down our string and we can measure from the sill plate to the string to see how out of flat this thing is and decide where and how we need to shim or maybe even grind. Well, it's not really the conclusion I wanted to come to. I wanted to come to the conclusion of that, oh, it's flat enough, let's keep working, but it's not. Like, it's 3/8 of an inch high or somewhere right in here in the middle of the wall, and I can see the block below it pushing the board up. I think we need to pull this sill plate off, snap a chalk line, and grind the top of these blocks until they are like actually flat. This seems like the better way to do it. It's definitely messy and time consuming. Doing that, I was able to go through and grind the blocks that were high or the high spots on the blocks. Now everything's pretty much flat and level, so it's a lot better than it was before. And I think we'll just have to call it good enough. Good morning. Oliver and I have beat Courtney to the job site. As we pulled up, I started thinking about it, and I just wanted to share with you guys how thankful I am. Thank you for supporting our channel for years. Thank you for coming along on the ride with us as we switch gears a little bit from off-grid living, building our own property, to working on this investment property. Like, what an incredible opportunity.
What a beautiful way to start the day. I had to pop into town really quick and Riley beat me here because I got him a present. This is something that you guys have been recommending for a while now. I think in the video that went live this week, there was like 100 comments. So, Riley, I got you a present.
What'd you get me? Oh, it's suspenders for my tool belt. Watch this. This is my greatest trick.
The name of the game today is No Butt Crack.
I thought it was frame walls.
Oh, that too.
Today's plan is to frame this front wall in this house.
What?
I know.
Frame a wall?
We're gonna frame a wall today. You're probably not supposed to tie a plumb bob string, but I don't feel like refishing it through there. This string up here represents our front wall. It's pulled from that corner to that corner, so we know this string is straight. We're gonna use this string now to define everything else about this front wall to ensure that this wall is plumb and straight so that it's able to support the second story of this house. So I'm gonna pull a plumb bob to figure out where our bottom plate should be located. Bob is saying right there, which is a 1/2 inch. Now we get to find out how we did with our concrete. Because the rest of the concrete, we could just talk trash about whoever did it if it was crooked. Now it's our fault if it's crooked. I saw this cool trick to use a pipe to straighten J-bolts. The problem is we had some pipes and they're in the trash truck. So now I'm going dumpster diving in the trash truck looking for pipes. Coolest trash truck ever. Pipe. The video I saw, he used a much longer pipe, but he was able to just kind of, oh yeah, that totally works. These bottom plates we're using are pressure treated. A lot of times they're called green board. Ours is just not green because our local lumberyard sells it in brown, but it is green underneath. So it's like it's green with a brown stain on it. I don't know. I want this to overhang just a hair. Oh, we'll flip them down. We'll measure from our line. Normally I'd want to measure off the front edge, but since we're hanging our board off, I couldn't snap the chalk line in the front, so we're measuring off the back. Sill tape. Boom, we're right on our mark. Hanging over just a hair here, which is what I expected. I need my tool that makes things fit. Boom, 1/2 inch off, nice and straight. Learning a new thing is always intimidating for me, and like yesterday especially, like trying to figure all this out, making sure the building was square. I feel like there was a million things to be trying to think about at the same time, but now we've got our system down, it's way more comfortable and can like have fun with it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Get ready for it. Seems like it should hold up the house, right? I'm about to nail what I think are the two most important studs in this entire building. No, I've only ever done non-load bearing interior framing. I've never done any exterior framing in my life. We need to put this one in first. Double stud. Lined up on my marks. Here we go. First nail is going into our house. Woo! Should I stand that back up again? Don't move. Ready?
Yeah, it's gonna move.
That moved a lot.
Okay.
So far it's not working very well. Now we have something to butt up to. Nice, Courtney, that's a good idea. First nail, take two, which I guess makes it the second nail. Oh yeah, look at us. We're framers. Second stud. I'm happy with that, Courtney. I'm just gonna put one nail in up here to hold them. We have a 142-inch rough opening for our sliding glass door upstairs. So 142 inches from here, we want another double stud. That's a big window. This whole thing is gonna be a sliding glass door upstairs. Yeah, that one. 1.5 inches, boom. So now I'm gonna mark the double studs again. So to ensure that the top of this wall is perfectly flat to our foundation for the first floor, we're gonna be measuring for the length of our studs up to the string line for each one. So that's 87 1/8 minus 1.5 inches, 85 5/8. Now, when I go toenail in, it won't pop the board over. Can you hold it up? So that makes it so that when we put our OSB sheeting on, this is a seam. Next stud.
Hot dang.
I'm starting to get the hang of this contractor thing. Initial thoughts, my tool belt is no longer falling down, but there are lots of straps now containing me, and I feel like I'm seat belted to myself. It's probably like new boots, you gotta break it in.
We are framing walls. You've been stressing about this day for like weeks.
It's been really hard for me to figure all this out because it's not only the layout of the downstairs, but it's also the layout of the upstairs.
We're getting it though.
But we're getting it. I decided that the easiest way for me to figure it out, starting with the most important things, getting them where they go, then we're gonna fill in the rest with our 24 on center layout. Good sandwich, Chris, thank you.
Bang some nails.
Bang some studs.
I don't know, there's a lot of butt crack happening still.
And we need to start with the outside one. No, let's do the inside one. That'll let us get more nails into it.
Boom.
Boom!
Double stud.
Now we're rocking, babe. It feels like we have a system down a little bit, huh?
Woo, that moved a lot.
Yeah, it did. I did read somewhere that toenailing correctly is difficult.
Should we be crowning these?
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't been.
Nope. Good thing we picked out straight ones from the lumberyard. So now Courtney and I are going through and marking our 24-inch on center stud layout to fill in the rest of this wall. And we don't want to go like 24, 24, 24 with our measuring tape because that would compound the air. So we're going all the way from the end and then marking every 2 feet, which puts our last stud up here on top of this little stem wall that we poured. So what we're doing is going along and measuring for every single stud. And I've been calling out the number that I measure. So I've been saying 42, then going over to the saw, measuring that and then subtracting my 1.5 inches. That way I'm not thinking two numbers every time. 42, so now I'm gonna come over to the saw. I put a little mark at 42, then I subtract 1.5 inches. That way I can just do it right here, use my ruler like a story stick. I'm not trying to do math, it's minimized errors. Now I cut the length. Boom.
Ah! It got me in the neck.
Gotcha. Did move again though. Close enough. This is rough carpentry, Courtney, not fine home building.
Nice. You nailed that one.
We haven't bought the door yet, so I don't know what size door is going here. And we don't know what we're doing with windows yet for right here. I want to lay out our top plate and draw all the studs on it. So we set it up and we line them all up. One of these 16 footers is gonna become our top plate. 30.25 minus 5.5.
24 3/4.
You ready to hoist that thing up in here?
I don't know why, but I've been really looking forward to this step.
This step right here?
This step specifically.
Like it's not a wall unless it has a top plate. Okay, you got that end?
Yeah.
It helps to be tall, that's for sure. So the dilemma is that these studs are twisted and I want to straighten them. And then I can use my hammer that's in my impact holster. That's why my impact goes on my butt crack. Tramp stamp.
Yeah,
oh yeah, look at that.
Nice.
Cool.
Woo!
That didn't really work.
No, it didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna clamp these two tight to each other. And then every 16 inches, it gets a double nail.
Man, you and that nail gun are gonna be besties this week.
Yeah, seriously. Look at all these nails I don't have to drive by hand. 16.
Do you think the heel of that nailer is 16 inches?
Do you think it has a 16-inch mark on it? Yeah, look at that little notch or do. Oh yeah! This is gonna hold up our entire house, these two boards. You like my platform? Do you think it's gonna work? Can I step on this thing? Angled platform? Okay. The nail gun has enough impact that it even like sucked it down. Can you guys hear me over the air compressor? I can't hear me either. We're about to find out if this stud is still plumb. Because if this stud's still plumb, it means our method is working. What? Perfect. Fits.
It does fit.
That's a good first sign. Do you think it's gonna work, Courtney?
Yeah.
This is Courtney's straightening jig idea. Now, nice, Courtney, look at that. We'll just overdo it a little bit. Put two in. Straight. That's how to use a welding clamp on your construction framing to straighten your walls. It's like the other side, we're basically just temporarily holding this together until the LVL goes over the top. Cool, babe. We just framed a wall.
We framed a wall and it looks good. It's
Yeah.
like, it's straight, it's level, it's plumb. Nice job.
Thanks.
After 3 weeks of tearing things apart, this is the first visual progress we've had.
Like actual real, for real progress. So our joists are gonna run this way. So we have a 20-foot span, they land on a wall, and then a second 20-foot span. It meant that we were able to use a lot less expensive floor joists because we only had this span at 20 feet instead of if we had spanned this direction, we would have needed to span 28 feet, which made the floor joist cost almost twice as much. But there is a little bit of a problem. There was an existing interior wall here, and the way that this footing was poured, it's like they poured concrete around this board. So we left this board in, we lost that board right here. So we need to rip a little strip of board to go back in this gap, and then figure out how to get a sill plate that attaches all the way across this. It's not the end of the world, and I think I've got a plan. 55 to 3.5.
That's a very tall person too.
Yeah, we're way up high. 3.5. Oh, look who's here. The Australians.
What happens when I'm not here, eh?
Yeah. T-shirt day, T-shirt day. Mwah. Yeah, we gotta load up. Out of the way, turkeys! It's not the most practical delivery truck, but it does match my shirt. Speaking of my shirt, if you missed out on the initial order, we have lots of extra shirts in all sizes, so head to ambitionstrikes.com and order yours today.
This truck is so cool.
All right, framing day 2, and Andy and I are gonna go over and we're gonna knock out the rest of this basement today. And Andy just pointed out, since I have 1 day of framing experience and he has 0 days, I have twice the experience that he does, which is true. Yesterday I was about to turn this on and then we got interrupted. So here we go.
Oh, right.
Is that called a hammer boot? Yep, nice. That way the edge of the screw is on the center of the line. 24 inches.
And also the reason why you're using a screw instead of me.
Yeah, Andy helped me measure this entire house, and the whole house is 1 inch off. By the time we finish the house, then I'll have forgotten everything I learned at the beginning. But by the time we get to the next house after that one, then maybe we're gonna build this wall just like we built that wall, where we measure up to a string line for each stud.
What are you making?
A steak. So
Every time you say steak, now I think you're talking about the dinner you had last night.
it's actually making me hungry just thinking about it.
How do you make a steak?
Watch, I'll show you.
First you light the grill.
Safety glasses. Do we go with 1 point or 2? What do you want, Courtney?
I think you'll be okay with 1.
Okay. Big hammer. There's nothing under here that I'm gonna hit, is there? All of a sudden water's like... It's going in pretty easy. Oh no, I don't know if I trust that.
We're gonna plumb this wall before we build this interior wall to make sure that everything is straight, square, and plumb. We tried to plumb it by pounding a stake in, like on the outside, like I see in all the videos, but our sandy soil, just the stake would pull over. So concrete anchors back to the concrete, more towards you, Andy. Not so much, let it back. Hold on, don't move it. According to that, it's perfect. According to that, it needs to go away from you. So on average, we're perfect. I think we should now pull the vinyl tape from that side of the building to this side of the building. I'm good with it if you're good with it.
You're the boss.
I am?
Really?
Yeah.
You're just being nice, aren't you? Who's really the boss?
Boone.
I had to run back to the house to grab a tool, and I thought it'd be a good time to give you a quick update on what's been going on inside the solar container. Welcome to the Solar Shed. This is our 3rd year powering this property off of this off-grid system. Only the difference this summer is that we're also charging an electric truck with it, which means that we're running this equipment a lot harder and it's putting off a lot more heat. Thankfully, last summer, we installed this 12,000 BTU Mr. Cool mini split in here, and it's able to keep all of this equipment running at a nice, cool 75 degrees, which helps to optimize our efficiency and prolong the longevity of the equipment. And since we're climate controlling this space anyways, we also use it as a place to store emergency food supplies, things like paint that we don't want freezing or getting too hot. So big thanks to Mr. Cool for efficiently keeping our equipment cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Andy, have you ever framed a wall before?
Nope. But Riley's done double the amount of framing that I've done.
So we're gonna measure from our bottom plate to our string. Because we have a double top plate, whatever your number is, you're gonna subtract 3.
Do you have a calculator?
No.
I'm just gonna mark my tape measure. So it's probably gonna have a lot of dots on it. 86 3/4. I need my pencil. This is a bit fat. And you said take 5 inches off, Riley. Okay.
Perfect, Andy. I'm gonna work on framing my first ever door opening.
Riley, in between the marks, you've got lines with no number.
Those are a 16th.
All right, so this is 86 7/8 and a tick.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do plus 6.5. So there's a traffic jam at the saw again.
Oh, sorry, mate.
I'm making a window header here. So 1 nail in. What scared you more, the falling wood or the air compressor turning on? Okay, I'm not happy with how this door came out, so I'm taking it apart. Let's try to pull it.
Gains. Think of the gains, Riley.
I'm so terrified it's gonna come out. Okay. This is too close to this wall, and by the time you had drywall in here, there wasn't going to be any room for the trim around the door, and I also didn't like the way the header turned out. I need to move this over 1 stud width. I was trying to shortcut things and save a space, and in the end, I just didn't like it. It's not a tiny house. We can just do it the normal way. My dad came by, he was making fun of me using the table saw at like chin height. I think we might need a lower table for it, Courtney.
Trusted me that I was gonna
I did.
do that. That was
We've worked together enough that I know that you were gonna do that. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Ooh. Yeah, I'm way happier with that. And then our double top plate is just gonna sit right on top of this little guy, and it's gonna be fully supported all the way across. Okay, do you want me to hold them up and you nail them in?
Can do.
Andy, how many times have you used a nail gun?
0 until now.
There you go.
Oh, that's better when you use that pointer.
This is pretty cool, having all the boards cut to length and then just knocking the wall together.
Hit it, hit it, hit it.
All right, I think it's time to flip this top plate on and hopefully we measured right. Okay. You want me to go above you with the nail gun and shoot the nails down towards your face.
That's good. I'm happy with that. I can
Yep.
do that.
On this wall, we're adding a double top plate because our floor joists above it aren't going to line up directly on each stud. They're going to land on the midspan, and this gives us the support we need to support the floor. What's in this? It smells good. Is that hash browns?
Yeah.
It's like a Texas California burrito. Mmm. Now that we have our top plate attached at the sill plate, and we know that this wall is plumb, we can measure from the end of our first top plate to the start of our next wall and finish off our top plates.
So these were just measured to the outside of the wood instead of the center, so we just need to move them over. Steak from Riley, and I'm gonna keep reminding him about this.
Okay, I'm making sure that my layout marks are still on, and they are. That's where that goes. I was about to say, where's your safety glasses? And then she tipped her hat up and she had them on. Oh, Andy, nice job measuring. It is like perfectly flat. That's cool to see. Do you want to put the last 6 nails in your first wall? It's pretty fun to do the top ones.
When in Rome.
I have no idea if like actual framers use clamps, but they've been really handy for us so far.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Nice. Dude, first wall. Now we're gonna finish off this garage door opening. Because we're going to have a structural LVL on top of this, a rim board, this garage door just needs to be self-supporting. It just needs to be strong enough to hold the door up. It's not carrying any floor load from above it. No, there's a whole box of them in there. I was just joking with you.
Are we gonna just sign for him?
That'll give me something to set it on while I screw in the other side. Here's my mark. I'm on my mark. Get set. And I think I might be a tool belt guy. Yeah. I got the straps adjusted a little better this morning. It's not pulling my pants down anymore. I've got all my stuff with me. The next step are framing out the windows that are gonna go in this basement level. We have 2 windows left over from our tiny house build, the ones that we got secondhand off Marketplace. So this is what I drew. I drew them just justified on this side. Is it big window, small window, or small window, big window? I think I like that.
Big window to the left.
So we're planning on using metal siding on this, just like we did in our shop. And something we learned on that project is how important it is at the edge of the window not land on a rib on the metal. It's got to land on the flat between the ribs for the trim to work right. So we're also planning out where are the ribs of our siding going to land so we can place our windows in the right spot. And I think this works, Andy, right? So we have a rib here. So that still puts the edge of the window beyond the rib. I think we're good here. We've all talked about it. We all understand layout. We all understand where the mark goes and where the stud goes and the way we're doing it. But for some reason, every time we get more than one person involved in marking it out, we end up with studs in the wrong places. And I've done it too. So we made a new rule that only one person on the job site does layout marking. We decided that it's me.
Your walls look great.
I am really happy with how things are coming out. I think I was intimidated about framing out all these window openings and door openings, so I just said, we'll do them later. Well, later is now, and it's really helping finish out the way this looks. So do you like the window layout, Courtney? We're gonna have the 44-inch wide one here, and the 72-inch wide one here, and then the sides of the windows will be exactly lined up with the door above it.
Can I tell you something that I've learned today?
What?
And I learned it the hard way.
What's that?
So air comes out at the top of this bit. I must have been concentrating so hard and my face was close. And when I pressed it, all the air went up my nose and it like nearly choked me. I'm like...
Plus you get to see my scribbly marks. It's funny.
Man, if only you had this thing that you could stand on that made you taller.
Oh, like a ladder? Yeah, and if only I had put this, pre-put this screw in like I was supposed to. This time I'm gonna pre-put in 2 screws. Andy, good work today. We all went from having never ever framed a wall before yesterday to having completed the 2 most important walls in this entire house. I am so stoked with the progress, and it means that tomorrow we can start rolling out the floor joists. You're not gonna wanna miss that one. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you next time.